Cet homme s'appelle Dao Gordon. Il habite à Seattle, sur la côte ouest des États-Unis. Dao Gordon est un ancien détenu. Il a passé plus de 12 ans de sa vie en prison et son visage porte les marques d'une vie chaotique. C'est un entretien avec lui qui est à l'origine de ce film. Voici ce qu'il disait il y a quelques mois lors d'une interview par Internet.
I was one of the tough guy prisoners, okay? I had a background. I was a career criminal. I'd been a criminal since I was a teenager, at least. My whole life, I'd lived in a reactive type world where it was all outer directed. And I think mostly that anger was the dominant emotion. If you ask me how I was feeling, I probably was more connected to anger than to any other single emotion.
Aujourd'hui, Dao Gordon mène une vie tranquille et très entourée à Seattle. Il est retraité, repenti, transformé. Il passe beaucoup de temps avec sa fille Samara et ses petits-enfants. À l'origine de cette révolution à 180 degrés, un enseignement reçu en prison qui a bouleversé sa manière de communiquer et de vivre.
Without NVC, I would either be dead by now or in prison again. And instead of that life, I have a life that is so deeply valuable to me, and really I have a life that's in harmony with my heart. I have a life with friendship and community and love and peace, and it's a life that I would have never had without nonviolent communication.
Pour comprendre ce que fut le cheminement de Dao Gordon, nous sommes partis à Portland, dans l'État voisin d'Oregon. C'est là que Fred Sly enseigne la communication non violente à des détenus. Fred Sly est allé à bonne école. Il s'est formé à cet exercice très particulier aux côtés de Dao Gordon et des pionniers de la communication non violente.
Well, today we're going to Columbia River Prison to do a class with brand new class participants, inmates that have never been exposed to nonviolent communication before. The inmates have agreed to be filmed. It's quite rare to be able to go into a prison, and there's many restrictions, such as don't wear blue clothing, because then they can't tell you from the inmates. Welcome, welcome. How are you?
La plupart des détenus de Columbia River sont condamnés à moins de 5 ans de prison. Certains d'entre eux ont purgé des peines beaucoup plus lourdes et finissent leur séjour ici avant d'être libérés. Au début de chaque séance, Fred Sly, accompagné par une assistante, commence par un temps de méditation.
You can close your eyes or not, but if you don't close your eyes, just soft focus out here someplace. Put your attention on the experience of the air going in and out of your nostrils. Just put your attention there, notice that. Anytime your attention drifts, just bring it back to that. I'd like to read you something that pretty much describes to me how I would like the world to be. And a lot of what this class is about. This is called the Baremba Soul Song and Healing Ceremony. When a woman in the Baremba tribe of South Africa knows she is pregnant, she goes out into the wilderness with a few friends, and together they pray and meditate until they hear the song of the child. They recognize that every soul has its own vibration, expression, and purpose. This song is sung at every important event of the child. When he or she is born, the community gathers and sings the child's song. Later, when the child enters education, the village gathers and chants the child's song. When the child passes through initiation to adulthood, again, the people come together and sing. At the time of marriage, each person hears his or her song. And finally, when the soul is about to pass from this world, the family and friends gather at the person's bed, just as they did at their birth, and they sing the person to the next life. In the Baremba tribe, there is one other occasion upon which the villagers sing to the child. When a person acts irresponsibly or unjustly, they are placed in the center of the village, alone. All work ceases, and every man, woman, and child in the village gathers in a large circle around the accused individual. Then, each person in the tribe speaks to the accused one at a time about all the good things the person in the center of the circle has done in his or her lifetime. Every incident, every experience that can be recalled with any detail and accuracy is recounted. All the person's positive attributes, good deeds, strengths, and kindnesses are recited carefully and at length. And the person is symbolically and literally welcomed back into the tribe. Now, what do the Baremba seem to know that we maybe have forgotten?
Respect, compassion, understanding.
Acceptance and cooperation.
An emphasis on the spiritual rather than the physical world.
They say that the most valuable gift that you can give somebody is your time and patience, and that a wise person listens. So that's the message that I got, is to sit there and give the respect and the patience and the time to your surroundings.
It's one of the most deeply touching parts of it to me, is that there's a sort of value in constantly reminding a person of their humanity. At the same time, they're put in the middle of the circle, in the middle of the village, and everyone knows what happened. Right? Everyone's there, sees what happened, how everybody's effective, and they're working together to bring this person back into their full humanity. Oh, I like this a lot. So our course in nonviolent communication has the same emphasis.
Pour donner à chacun sa place dans le cercle, Fred Sly invite ensuite les détenus à partager librement un ressenti avec tout le groupe.
I think the one up there that jumps out at me is excitement. I mean, it's exciting to do crime. You know?
Yeah.
Blood pressure's up, your heart's racing.
Yeah.
And that's like a same thing kind of drugs give you too, you know? So it's kind of a, yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, some guys jump motorcycles over Caesar's Palace, right?
Yeah, you get addicted to that feeling you get when you're like stealing a car or, you know, selling drugs or whatever.
Really getting in touch with my feelings. For a long time, I didn't have any boundaries, and not having boundaries didn't allow me to appreciate other people's boundaries. So by discovering my own boundaries, I was able to see other people's boundaries as well.
Thank you.
For me, it was safety and belonging, because if I had the stuff, then I belonged to something, and I had a roof over my head, and you know, it basically was a security for me in a lot of ways, because I would use it to, like, you know, I would either steal things or I would sell drugs so that I had money so that I could pay my rent, or I could you know, have food and then my friends would come around because I was, you know, not some weirdo bum on the street, and because I didn't want to do the responsible thing and get a job.
Dans leur programme de réinsertion, certains prisonniers participent aussi à des ateliers de parentalité. On leur confie alors une peluche, symbole de l'enfant dont ils apprennent à prendre soin.
We carry around the bear as a commitment that, you know, that we are trying to be a productive member for my child too.
Pour Fred Sly, enseigner la CNV en prison est devenu un métier. Il a créé une structure, Oregon Prison Project, OPP, qui intervient dans 5 prisons de l'État avec 30 formateurs volontaires.
The Oregon prison system has been very welcoming to us. They let us through the door first on the invitation of a chaplain. But after a while, they noticed that the people that were attending our classes were starting to calm down.
Après avoir changé plusieurs fois de métier, Fred Sly a trouvé sa voie quand il a rencontré la communication non violente. Un jour de 1999 qu'il n'oubliera jamais.
Revolution, I would say. Revelation, yes, it was a revelation that it was possible for me to be happy. And revolutionary in my life because it changed the entire thing. It changed all of it. Everything that I did in my world changed after that. I was kind of thunderstruck in a way. Before then, I was depressed for maybe 10 years. I'd lost all hope. The story I was telling myself is, I'm a man, I don't do relationship, but yeah, I'm just really bad at it. I'm always going to be lonely. I'm always going to be alone. No attempt I make at really making connection is ever going to work, right? So I take this 2-day workshop, and it's like, oh my goodness, right? Crying, tears, right? Happiness, right? I wasn't born broken, right? There's a possibility that I had learned something that wasn't working, and I could learn something else. I could learn this, and it's simple. It's no big deal, right? I had learned thousands of things that I was very good at, and I knew I could learn this as well. And tears of sadness because I was 52 when this offer came.
À la suite de cette prise de conscience, Fred Sly a repris des études de psychologie et écrit une thèse sur l'empathie et l'exclusion sociale. Steve Blackman est lui aussi formateur en communication non violente. Il intervient au pénitencier en alternance avec Fred Sly. Aujourd'hui, il anime un atelier d'écoute. Les volontaires sont invités à déposer leur fardeau et les autres à écouter avec empathie. Aujourd'hui, c'est Cody, un jeune papa, qui lâche ce qu'il a sur le cœur.
Just feeling less than a father, feeling less, feeling more, feeling like that I'm not worthy enough. I guess that's it. I mean, I failed a lot along the way. I'm just trying to fix a lot of things that I failed on, you know? And it takes a little bit of cooperation to stay above water, you know? If you understand what I mean. I just want to give my kids the life that I didn't, that I did not have, you know what I mean? Not saying that you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna go out and buy their love or anything, but it's just about just being there. You know, I didn't have a father growing up, so I want to be that father that is there, that my son can look back and say, my daddy was here. You know what I mean? He came to my games. He was here with me, you know, through the times where I needed him, you know what I mean? I can't say those types of things, you know.
So you're really longing to be for your children to trust that you'll be there for them, and part of this situation you find yourself in, you couldn't meet your need for that trust when the family doesn't show up. You're kind of counting on it.
Mm-hmm.
L'émotion est perceptible sur le visage de Cody. Il semble touché par l'écoute silencieuse et empathique de tous ses codétenus. Maintenant, c'est Juliane qui se sent l'envie de témoigner.
I think my really memory that I have is really fantastic is when I saw my daughter was being born, and I just see her head a little bit and her body came out, and she opened her eyes and looked at me. It was like out of blue, what is this? And that feeling still in my heart, it never goes away. And then I end up to basically be a single father, taking care of her and give her all the freedom and love that I could give her, and then suddenly she lost all of it. I mean, I can see what I done, what I'm doing here, why I can measure that to what I've did, what I have to be here for. But she's the one that basically being punished because she didn't do anything. She just steal my daughter, but then she wouldn't feeling any comfortable to even come here in this environment to even be with me because she just saw that the officers looking at her while she's sitting there. I'm holding her hand. But out of blue, she showed up 2 days ago. And I was like, I was waiting for that, like this moment.
We were all waiting for
that. She came and I look at her like she was like a wounded pigeon. So fragile, thin, depressed inside, but also happy that she saw me, she came. She was a big step that it happens in my life. And I know in fact that I learned a lot here, especially this particular class I'm taking, to find out all about all the power that existence gave me, and I can grow into that powers and use them for the rest of my life, especially to take care of her, to give her what I can.
Accueillis pleinement dans leur fragilité, les détenus laissent peu à peu tomber les masques. Le processus de la communication non violente les conduit à une prise de conscience. Et c'est cette prise de conscience qui constitue le socle d'une possible transformation.
In my experience, nonviolent communication produces these transformations with everyone I've ever worked with. And I've worked in community mental health, I've worked in the prisons, I've worked with a batterers intervention program. Everyone shifts. The amount of time it takes each individual to shift can vary. We teach empathy. Empathy, the quality of empathy says to a person, literally and explicitly and implicitly, that you belong, that we see your humanity. Anytime you teach anybody empathy, aggression goes down and pro-social behavior goes up.
It's changed my life dramatically. I feel like I can control my feelings.
Hello, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So the next thing we're going to do is what's called the NVC dance. So when we
La danse de la CNV est une sorte de marelle. La personne se déplace de case en case pour retrouver les faits, les jugements, les sentiments et les besoins qui l'ont conduite au conflit. Aujourd'hui, c'est Brandon qui est volontaire pour l'exercice. Il est à un moment très particulier de sa vie. Après 26 ans en prison, il va être libéré. Dans quelques semaines, il sera dehors. Pour l'exercice, il choisit de revenir sur le violent conflit vécu avec son frère il y a 30 ans.
I criticized him, talked about him.
Yeah.
I wanted to beat him up.
Wanted to beat him up.
Yeah. That was my attitude, you know.
Yeah.
And
He just deserved to be smacked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What feelings come up in you?
A lot of sadness.
Okay, step up into those feelings. Yeah. So some sadness?
Yeah, a little horrified. Now that I look at it, I feel, and I do feel horrified from it.
Looking back at all that.
Yeah. I torn inside, not being able to connect with myself, him, or anybody else. That I just didn't have any, I didn't feel like I understood what was going on with him, me, or anybody in society, in the world, or anything.
Après avoir exprimé sa tristesse et l'horreur qu'il ressentait d'être à ce point coupé des autres et du monde, Brandon essaye de trouver à quel besoin non rejoint il répondait.
Oh, I needed some discovery, some hope, some consideration, to be understood, to understand. And I needed a source of community. That's what my needs were, and they weren't being met.
And just let yourself feel that sadness and horror and longing that you had for community, to be heard, to be understood. Got a sense of that in your body? Does that live in your body?
No, I feel alive, exuberant.
Le cheminement intérieur de Brandon va durer plus d'1 heure. Soutenu par Fred, il prend conscience de ses sentiments et de ses besoins et tente d'identifier son intention sincère à l'égard de son frère.
How confident then are you that it's going to go well?
Well, I can express to him what I was feeling at the time.
Yeah, you can. How confident are you that he's going to hear it?
I can only go by what I feel now and what I say to him. My feelings towards, the situation, and how much, love I still have for him now that I understand. So,
do you think he's open to hearing that from you?
Pour l'aider à anticiper la situation, Fred Sly suggère de faire appel à un autre détenu pour jouer le rôle du frère.
Josh.
Yeah, okay.
Well, happy to see you. It's been a long time, and I just need to connect with you because back when we were younger, I just didn't have the vocabulary to communicate with you. Now that I've learned how to express my feelings, I will be truthful with you and let you know how I feel about you. I'm just happy to see you, and I'm looking forward to us, having a relationship again, and I'm willing to hear what you have to say, and if you're willing to speak with me, then I'll make a request from you that you can ask me any question, and if you want to hear more from me, then I'll be more than happy to share with you so that we can both get our needs met by expressing our feelings.
La présence neutre de Joshua, qui joue le rôle du frère brutalisé, permet à Brandon d'envisager avec quels mots il aimerait lui parler quand ils seront face à face.
Well, feeling hopeful, that we can have some trust and some choices now between us, that we can share our families, get our families together so that I can see your grandchildren and my children, because they've never been together all these years, We're in our late 50s and early 60s, so there's a lot to for us to get together and do. So I'm looking really forward to that. So I'm wondering if you'd be willing to take that next step with me.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Good to go?
Yeah, that'll get it.
Yeah.
Thank you. It works. I know that it works. And when I get out of here, out of prison, I will continue that to spread this way of communication and nonviolent communication so that I can help other people, you know, and be effective and contribute, you know, to society and help a lot of the ills that are going on today. So yes, I'm very happy for that. Yes.
I grew up in an alcoholic abusive household. So from the time I can remember, I was getting hit. And then when I was a teenager, I started training in mixed martial arts and progressed as a young adult to semi-professional fights. And so my whole life has pretty much dominantly been enforced by violence. It was a way to solve problems. It was a way to express yourself rather than figuring out why I needed to solve the problem in the first place, what I was feeling and why I was feeling it. And this has helped me realize that those can be fixed without violence. Violence doesn't do anything but cause more problems. And so for me, this has allowed me to not need to pursue violence, not need to have it as a background in case I need it. I don't need violence. Nobody does.
À 72 ans, après 20 ans de transmission de la communication non violente en prison, Fretzlay pense à la retraite. Il assure la relève et travaille avec des volontaires expérimentés qui ont choisi d'intervenir en prison.
It's very beautiful to watch someone get in touch with the first time why their life brought them there, how they have been disconnected from themselves, the things they're holding on to about their family. It's become perhaps the most meaningful thing I'm doing in my life.
From the moment I, learned about NVC, I wanted to, and started to reap the benefits. It started to, change the relationships in my life for the better. I decided that I would like to share it.
Noticing how we are and then working to...
L'administration pénitentiaire d'Oregon a proposé des programmes de méditation associés à la CNV à 2500 gardiens de prison et à tous ses personnels. Ce choix a été directement guidé par les effets bénéfiques constatés même dans les quartiers de haute sécurité.
When I first brought it into the prison system, I was working at the state penitentiary, maximum security prison, where a number of people that were participating in the class are doing life sentences. That is their home. They will be there for the rest of their lives. And I would go to graduation ceremonies following, their 12-week course or whatever, and listen to their stories and listen to them talk about the ways in which it had changed their interactions even within the prison system, how it changed their behavior on their housing units, on the yard, in the dining room. When someone got angry with them, they would respond differently. When they were feeling angry, they would learn to communicate that in a way that was better for helping people understand what they were feeling.
À l'origine de la communication non violente, il y a un homme, Marshall Rosenberg. Il a passé sa vie à partager le processus partout dans le monde et dans de nombreuses prisons. Il est décédé en 2015. Lucie Leu fut sa première collaboratrice auprès des détenus.
So here we are in Seattle, where in 1998 we invited Marshall Rosenberg to a nearby prison. I think it's the first time he was ever in an American prison, to offer nonviolent communication. And it's his inspiration that led to the founding of Freedom Project. Freedom Project has been offering nonviolent communication and mindfulness practices in Washington state prisons since then. So there's that ferry I used to take each time I would go to the prison. First come to Seattle and then drive east to Monroe where the prison was located.
Lucie Le a écrit les premiers ouvrages de communication non violente. Elle a créé Freedom Project pour accompagner les détenus dans leur travail de guérison et dans leur communauté. Depuis, la communication non violente se répand dans les prisons de plusieurs États américains.
Going inside prison was not about like helping other people and doing them a favor, but it was really like essential almost for my growth to be able to see that I'm not, anywhere different or separate from these people that I had once classified as somehow, scary and dangerous. And it was really through knowing, in a very deep way, that there is no difference right here between you and me, that I was able to come to a place of freedom in myself and to be able to embrace, I think, all the places in myself that I had kept at bay. So to me, it was my education as a human being. And I'm really, I feel really honored that I got that opportunity through MVC to do that.
I don't know that I've ever seen.
Lucie Le réside à Vancouver, au Canada, et vient souvent à Seattle visiter son vieil ami Dao Gordon. C'est elle qui lui a appris la communication non violente alors qu'il était détenu. Lucie et Dao se sont beaucoup appris. Ils sont restés complices et admiratifs l'un de l'autre.
Have an office, toilets, but it was great. I definitely think we have an incredible friendship, Dao, because I don't think that in my life, as a child or young person, I would ever have thought that I would have friends like you.
Probably not.
But in a good way, okay?
Some guy has been in prison 3 times.
Après sa sortie de prison, Dao Gordon a suivi le parcours de formation à la communication non violente. Sur ces images d'archives, il est en plein atelier d'initiation avec des détenus. Mais cette fois, il intervient en tant que formateur.
And you too, right, Jason? Yeah. You have a need for cooperation and support?
Dao Gordon s'en est sorti. Il n'a plus jamais récidivé. Il a retrouvé une famille, une communauté, un sens à sa vie. Il est devenu le symbole de la réintégration réussie.
There is a big before NVC and a big after NVC. What NVC has brought to my life are really things that for most of my life I never even knew they really existed. Feelings like love, feelings like the sense of community, feelings like deep, non-judgmental friendship. I have so many things in my life now that for most of it, I didn't believe they really existed. I mean, I could read about them in books, but they were all like fairy tales to me. I didn't really believe them. And that's the gift that NVC has given me to really know and value my own heart, and through my own heart to connect with others and their hearts.
Ce cadeau, Dao Gordon n'est pas le seul à l'avoir reçu. d'autres que lui ont vu leur vie se transformer et se sont réintégrés. Une étude menée par Freedom Project a montré que la méditation, associée à la communication non violente, ferait baisser d'1 tiers le taux de récidive. Mais pour Lucie Leu, la question est bien plus vaste.
My own experience is that sometimes there is really meaningful change beyond statistics. That it is almost, it's really simple to say, oh, recidivism, take that as your measurement. But I actually know someone really, really well who did reoffend and who is serving a life sentence. But I also know that this human being did not fail. That this human being is having an incredible effect on his community right now, even though his community is inside prison. So as a statistic, this person would be a failure. But there is just not an iota of doubt for me that he's a success.
Brandon, Tom, Julian, Joshua, Cody, qu'en sera-t-il pour eux? Comme dans le conte africain, comme ce fut le cas pour Dao Gordon, auront-ils une communauté pour les accueillir, les soutenir, les aider à retrouver leur humanité? C'est la voie que propose la communication non violente. De quoi interroger nos sociétés sur leur manière de réaccueillir en leur sein ceux qui un jour ont quitté la route.